Hey, what is up everyone, and happy Friday. Welcome back to another episode of the Film Chronicles. Thank you for joining me once again to listen to my ramblings, theories, and also random bits of trivia. I hope you guys will enjoy this one because I'm pretty damn excited about this video. So this trailer actually came out about 8 hours ago, and I decided that I was going to make a video just kind of breaking down all the information that we got, because this is the official trailer, so we get a little bit more context in terms of the dialogue that they lay over the trailer. Some of the scenes can be explained, so I'm going to do that for you guys. But before we get into that, I just want to remind you guys, as always, to smash that like button. If you're new to the channel and you're liking the content, please consider subscribing. Just click that subscribe button and then turn on those notification bells. That way you guys get every new update for every new video that I put out. So with the intro out of the way, I'm gonna go ahead and get right into this breakdown. Spoilers beware in case you haven't seen the Halloween from 2018, but that came out 3 years ago, so you've had a lot of time. So I assume since you clicked on this, you don't care about that. So let's get into it. In case you guys didn't know, this was actually announced as a trilogy right off the bat. So we already knew going into this that we would get 3 films, all connected to each other, while disregarding the previous timeline in the Halloween franchise. So this is disregarding that, but continuing the original 1978 Halloween and then the sequel Halloween 2. So we get the same production team, Universal, Miramax, and Blumhouse Productions, with the same director back, David Gordon Green, and the same writers team, which includes David Gordon Green plus Danny McBride, who you guys all know, and Scott Teems. So this trailer picks up right where we left off. We see our returning heroines, Laurie Strode, her daughter Karen, and her granddaughter Allison. We see the aftermath of everything that went down in Halloween's finale, with them in the back of a pickup truck going to the hospital to get care, but they see firefighters going to try and do something about the fire that's happening at Strode's home, where she lit that in purpose to kill Michael. And of course he gets his way out with this. There was a lot of speculation as to how he would even do it, and this trailer kind of gets it out of the way. Since there's been a delay with COVID, I mean, it's perfectly allowed, I would say, instead of keeping certain things hidden, like show us more context, and this trailer does a great job of doing that. And this particular part was just brutal, with him destroying the firefighters. So Sheriff Barker comes across the mayhem and the carnage that Michael created in his escape, and also comes across some of the bodies from 2018, such as Deputy Hawkins. And we are also shown that he is the first to tell Karen that Michael got out, which leads to Laurie finding out, and Laurie, being the badass that she is, pretty much injects herself with, I think, an adrenaline shot, or at least something to numb the pain. I'm assuming that she got some sort of stitches to stitch up where she got sliced up from Michael. Decides that it's time for them to stop running and that they need to attack him rather than Michael continuously attacking them over the course of their lives. So all the while that's going on, a town mob forms, similar to what happens in, I believe it's Halloween 5, Revenge of Michael Myers, if I'm not mistaken. There was a mob scene in that film where they go after Michael, but it turns out really, really bad, and I'm assuming that's going to be the same sort of thing. But there are a couple game changers, I should say, that are included in the mob, such as Tommy Doyle, as well as Lyndsie Wallace, which are the kids that Laurie Strode ended up babysitting in 1978's Halloween. So now that they're adults, they're here to help and try to take down Michael once and for all. And it's actually pretty badass, I think, because at least for Lyndsie Wallace, that's the same young actress from 1978 reprising her role. And then there's also Nurse Marion Chambers from both 1978 and Halloween 2. Same actress returning for the role, Nancy Stevens. And according to the cast list too, we have Lee Brackett, who is the previous sheriff in the 1978 film, and that's the same actor as well that's going to be returning to this film. So that's insane. That's 1978 to 2021, that's at least 40 plus years that it's been since, and they're still able to reprise their roles for one, and they want to reprise their roles. So it just goes to show how iconic this franchise is and what it means to them to do it correctly, because I mean, they have to feel a certain way with how the other sequels went. They got a little bit silly, admittedly, so it's exciting to see a more grounded take on the whole franchise. So now that we are finally getting the theatrical release this October 16th rather than getting it delayed due to the pandemic, I'm really excited to see what this movie brings in terms of Michael's storyline and what they do with it in terms of this continuity, since we're disregarding all those other films. And you know, I can't be more excited for that. And a lot of the shots in this trailer just scream unique, or at least unique to the horror genre. We don't see a lot of beautiful shots for horror films. It's more gritty, more grainy. But in this film, to me, a lot of the shots are really nicely lit, and it just looks great. Like, the camera work is really nice to see. It's a refreshing thing to see in terms of a horror movie. And of course, we have Jamie Lee Curtis returning back to play the role of Laurie Strode, and I can't be more excited for that either. She's solidified herself as Laurie Strode almost just as much as Bruce Campbell has solidified himself as Ash from Evil Dead, or even the actors that have been behind the mask for characters like Michael Myers or Jason Voorhees, Robert Englund with, you know, Freddy Krueger. It's just iconic, and it's also exciting to see that we are getting more of her acting skills shown in this movie rather than her being kind of cold and isolated. Now she's able to show just how frantic and how much she actually cares to protect her family from Michael, because it's mostly because of her, right, that her family is being hunted. So she's selfless in that sense that she's willing to undergo everything and anything to keep them from being chased or even, you know, known about. And I'm excited to see that aspect versus what we got last film, because they can't just go full bang in one movie if they're planning a full trilogy. And I'm glad that they kind of kept a lot of things, you know, reserved in 2018's Halloween, because now we're going to see everything turned up a notch or two in this film. And another thing that we should all know is that the director and also the writer team, including Danny McBride, have said that this is going to be one of the more brutal of the Halloween films, and that they've turned everything up to 11 in terms of the kills and the carnage that Michael creates. So that's going to be another cool thing seeing, because I think that we kind of been getting held back a little bit, because I mean, this is an unstoppable force of evil. And that's another cool thing that I should touch up upon too, is that we're getting a little more information as to how this Michael operates, because again, we have to ignore Halloween 4, 5, 6, and also like Resurrection and all that, and ignore the cult of Samhain and all that. There might be a similar cult or the same cult in play, but it might be different in this universe, because these are following John Carpenter's 1978 Halloween 1 and 2. So we're ignoring all those other films. So they're going to recreate this, because they do allude to it in some of the dialogue. As Laurie puts it during some of the scenes, she says that the more he kills, the more he transcends. So there is some sort of supernatural take on this version of Michael. We can also see Allison getting information from her ex-boyfriend, or now boyfriend, Cameron's dad, who's Lonnie. Lonnie is the same child that Dr. Loomis scared back in Halloween from 1978 when he was trying to go into the Myers house. He scared him away, and now we see him as an adult. He was mentioned in 2018's Halloween, but it makes sense that he would have some information, as he's one of the residents who's been there since 1978 and has, you know, one of the original people around during those murders. So that's going to be a cool aspect to see from this movie, and that also will likely lead her to want to hunt down Michael, finding out this information about him and learning what can possibly harm him. Even though we ignore the previous continuity, we still get some Easter eggs, such as this on screen right now. That's from Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, which wasn't actually canon to the Michael Myers story, but was canon to the overall franchise. Just a neat little Easter egg to point out. And also the return of Tommy Doyle, this time played by Anthony Michael Hall, whom you know from The Breakfast Club, 16 Candles, Weird Science. But he's actually going to be portraying this character rather than Paul Rudd, who portrayed him in Halloween the Curse of Michael Myers. But nonetheless, it's exciting to see we're getting returning characters that do have history and have a place in the Halloween universe and the lore. So we're going to be seeing that, which is really cool. And like I said earlier, Nurse Marion Chambers getting her return with a neat callback to 1978's Halloween. And we're also getting another character in Lyndsie Wallace, who is in the same scene, but I did not manage to get a screenshot of, so I'm sorry. So the scale for this film is just so massive. I am so excited for just how epic of a movie this can be. Everything that they've shown us thus far has been super exciting in its own right, from just the stills to little bits of information and little interviews with the directors and the writers and such. I can't be more excited for this movie, and I can't wait to see where it takes us in the Halloween universe, and I cannot wait for the final film and where this one leaves us off at. We, the audience, won't know, but since they filmed these final 2 movies back to back, they already know, and they're just going to be toying with us the whole time. So I'm not sure if you guys are ready. I know I'm not, but once this movie ends, it's going to be the longest another year of waiting for the final movie, which is going to be Halloween Ends. So that wraps up my thoughts and my theories that I have for this, and what I've picked up from the scenes and whatnot from what we've got. I only plan on doing maybe a second trailer breakdown. After that, I'm not going to really be looking at more trailers, just because after the second official trailer, they usually start spoiling more scenes and details from the movie. So once that happens, I'm going to refrain from doing that. So don't expect a third or fourth video, but do expect a second trailer breakdown. And until then, I can't thank you guys enough for clicking on this video and listening through my ramblings, and maybe learning a thing or two from what I happen to know about the Halloween movie franchise itself. So I can't wait to see you guys on the next video, and until then, have a great weekend. Peace.